without further ado, let's bring on Paul McLaren. Paul, welcome to the show.
Yes, good afternoon, Michael.
Thank you for being here. All right, Paul, and thank you so much for getting up so early in the morning in Australia to talk to us. I really appreciate that.
That's fine. That's my pleasure.
Now, give us some background on your investment history or the industry sector that you're working in, and then let's dive into what the option strategies are on Rotor.
Okay. So, in essence, I've been investing and trading for about 20 years in the Australian market, the UK market, and also the US market. Now, that wasn't my full-time occupation. My full-time occupation was in education and training. So I spent about 8 years in the UK as an IT training manager, working on training IT projects and delivering the training for them. So that gave me a unique perspective of some of the issues related to kind of bringing in new technologies and the change management process associated with it. I came back to Australia about 5 years ago and didn't want to continue on IT projects and wanted to do something different. So I wanted to get into options training people in financial options. And my understanding of options was fairly cursory because I only studied it at the university, as most people do. So I was learning options at the same time I was trying to think of how I would teach people about options. And the basics of options, the concepts and terminology, that was fine, that was fairly straightforward. When it came to trading options, there seemed to be a bit of a mismatch between the tools available and what was intuitive and what would actually work and make it fairly comprehensible and comprehensible to people. So that's when I came up with the Rotor Payoff diagram. And essentially what it is it combines the traditional payoff diagram, which is standard in options trading, with the underlying price chart. And I've overlaid the two. That might seem like a fairly straightforward, logical step, but in fact it's never been done before, and I've got a patent application on it. So that's a bit of the background of the Rotor Payoff diagram.
How does the track record stack up? What have you been able to show the people that are buying the project or product?
People who are familiar with options trading, there tends to be a number of groups. The first one comes back to the curse of knowledge, where people have kind of done the hard yards, they've understood options, they look at it and say, oh, it's only a payoff diagram. The payoff diagram in options trading is kind of the basic, showing you the risk and reward of each strategy. So those people who don't really appreciate, suffer, if you like, from the curse of knowledge, don't really grasp it. There are those who don't understand options and therefore they look at it and say, well, that's fairly straightforward. I can't imagine it being anything else. And they can't, because they haven't gone through the hard yards of trying to understand options trading, which is quite difficult. So they don't really appreciate it either. The people who do tend to appreciate what I've actually achieved is those who understand options trading but also appreciate the difficulty in explaining options trading to other people. So that in effect the trainers, people who have been training and educating people on options.
Tell me about the Rotor payoff diagrams. How does it work? Give us an overview or something that we can sink our teeth into.
Okay. Well, here's the actual irony, which is I'm trying to explain something which is very visual over the radio. But in essence, most people, I come from a technical analysis background, so I'm used to using historical price charts, looking at the volatility, the momentum, the market outlook, those kind of concepts, and using various indicators from the charts, derived from the charts. Then I combine that with the option strategy and the option payoff diagram. The option payoff diagram is just a simple chart with the historical price on the x-axis and the profit or loss on the y-axis. Then you go to the historical price chart and the price is on the y-axis. So we've got a mismatch in the axes. What I've done is rotated it and flipped it over and then overlaid it. And the unique feature there is that I've overlaid it such that the expiry date of the option aligns with the axis. So it's, again, there's a bit of an irony, which is the whole thing's a very visual-based tool, and I'm trying to explain it. But certainly people can access my website afterwards.
Right.
Now,
I'm on your website, enhanceyouroptions.com.au, and let's say that, a simple long call strategy.
Sure.
Is there a trades that you're in right now that you can say, here's where I'm at and here's where I'm what I'm looking for?
Okay. At the moment, I am not trading any long calls because the volatility in the markets I'm looking at is too high. Mm-hmm. That's too expensive. What I will say in terms of the payoff diagram is that the traditional one also gives you a feeling for, or no feeling for, the probability of an outcome. It only shows you all possible outcomes with no feeling for how that relates to the underlying stock, the market direction, and the volatility. So bringing those two together, you can align. Basically, you're looking for zones of profitability. So you're looking for, to the right is profit and to the left is loss. And so you're looking for where the underlying price action, the direction of it, is going to align with the profitable side of the trade. So in the case of a long call, you're looking for the price moving to the top right-hand corner, and you're looking for a trade, in the case of a long call, a profit in the top right-hand corner of the payoff diagram. You just are trying to align the two charts, the underlying price chart and the payoff diagram.
Yeah, Paul, it's going to be difficult to really get into that unless somebody's sitting in front of a screen sharing device that they can look at. What about the win-loss ratios? Have you seen anything significant there that you can relate to the audience?
Yeah, certainly the trading has improved. In terms of, I don't take as many trades now, so the win-loss ratio is looking at about 3-to-1. So the trades are, and just to complicate a little bit further, I tend to leg it in for most trades. So I will go from a long call to a bull call spread or a bear call spread, whatever the situation is, depending on how it progresses. But overall, the win-loss ratio is about 3-to-1, which is a drastic improvement from before, when I was essentially just using the tools in a separate manner.
Got it. All right. Paul, that's about all the time we have for today, but I want to thank you for coming on to the show. Give the audience the web address so that they can follow up and take a look at what we were talking about today.
Sure. So there's actually two websites. My company website, enhanceyouroptions.com.au, and then the one which is the flagship, which is Rotor, ROTOR, payoffdiagrams.com. So that's where most of the information will be found.
Paul, thank you for taking the time, and I'd like to delve into this later after I get out of the show and take a look at what you're talking about, how we can work on it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Bye.
You're welcome. Paul McLaren, Managing Director, Enhance Your Options. We'll be right back after this short break with the Private Equity Spotlight, and then we'll bring on Roy Kutada. He has got one of the most innovative delivery systems for interactive video CRM I've ever seen. We'll dive into that on the other side of this break. You'll listen to CEO Money with Michael Yorba. This segment is brought to you by TheVitaminPatch.com.